Hello everybody, exciting. It is indeed the time for our mystery Advent Wreath, our part one of the make along. If you can't make along, it might be because you want to take your time, and I usually race things a little bit. But of course you're very welcome to watch because we've got a lovely community all here doing exactly the same. And I haven't lit the first candle yet, which I'm about to do. So the first of Advent was actually on Sunday, but I thought let's light the candle together for number one. And you stay. No, it's gone out. I get a bit closer to the candle to do this. So the first of Advent means that it's one Sunday closer to Christmas, and there are 4 Sundays. And when we light the fourth candle, it's Christmas! Yay! Another Christmas! How did that happen? It feels like only yesterday that we did the Advent project last year, which was the Animals in the Wood. Anyway, let's say hello to some of you here. I've actually had a little bit of a technical glitch, so I haven't got my normal second screen here, so I've got to do it all on the big screen, and I might not be as efficient as usually to follow not that I'm ever efficient to follow this trail of chat, but we have got here today Vicky and Sarah, Diane, Angela, Jane, Alison, Pamela. We have got Gina, Awkward Prawn, Rachel, and Ashley, Cindy. Cindy is excited because she made it. It's 5 a.m. here and I can't wait to make my wreath. Just opened the first package. That's amazing. Of course, we have a few people from the US. Cindy is in California. I think Pamela is in Oregon. I don't know who else we've got here from the States. Anne is there. Hello, Anne. Vania, Olga. Do tell us where you're from. Do tell us where you're watching from, because that's always fun to imagine that you're somewhere on a different part of the world. And of course, Alicia is here in my ear as well. We've got Peggy. Peggy, you're in the US as well. I know that. And then Erica's in the Netherlands, so is Olga. Lorna, Marion. Oh, this is a Marion from Perth, Western Australia. Yay! I love that. I really do. Sorry that me having to look at the screen so intensely is probably a different view that you haven't seen before. So anyway, right, we're here to make the Advent Wreath. I can't show you what you're making because it's a surprise. It's a mystery. But by the end of this live stream you will have done week 1. All I will say is, if you don't have our Advent Wreath and you happen to be watching, you can't get it anymore this year. Sorry, I've got to say that straight off. However, we do have, we have actually designed another wreath. This is not the Advent Wreath, it's different. But if you have a bit of FOMO, fear of missing out for a wreath, then you can get our basic wreath, winter wreath, and then you can put whatever you want in the middle. This is not the Advent Wreath. I say it several times, it's different. And you can basically make them basic shape up and then just put inside whatever you want, whether it's one of these, cat sitting in there, whether you want to have a little curled up sleepy dog in there, like that, or whether you have an angel sitting on there somewhere, or a fairy. You can put the fairy in the tree as well. The tree is posable, so you can have it lying down as well and the fairy sitting on it. There, like this. Or anything that you like, a robin, anything sort of more seasonal. But and all of this you can buy in a pack which looks like this. It's big, it's got the big wreath in there. It's made differently to what I'm doing here now. Well, slightly similar, but definitely differently. And of course, you're not getting all the products and the projects that you get in the Advent Wreath. But if you have got, and you're desperate to make a wreath, then this is the product to go for. Right, what you have, however, got if you've got our Advent project is this. I've opened the bag already. So you get a big pile of dark wool. You get an even bigger pile of core wool, lots of it. This is actually what caused the most problem, was stuffing all of this in the bag. It's the biggest bag ever. You get a strand of our flower garden. This may vary in color, okay? So you might have more blues and greens. I've got quite a lot of oranges and a little bit of green in there. You've got more core wool. And then you also get the Australian Merino Moss green, which I love. This color is so nice. And then this is also, by the way, the color that sits in the holly leaves on top of the seasonal wreath that I just showed you. And the big, this is big. This is a big wreath wire, bigger than what we've done before. And there's also, well, I haven't got it. I don't know, it must have fallen out. Damn doodles, what do I do now? I meant to have a piece of ribbon in there, but because I opened it, I probably pulled it out and I don't know where it is. Okay, don't worry. I'm just going to wing it as I usually do. Unless it's hiding. Okay, anyway, you should have an orange organza ribbon in there as well. I'll go looking for it in a minute. It's probably hanging out somewhere here. I just need to go and find it. So all of this we're going to turn into the base of the wreath project. And as usual, I do this overhead. No, I don't do it overhead. I show it to you overhead. And the other thing that I just need to explain to you is, if you don't know, but I have actually not been very well. I finally got the lurgy. And I am sucking on cough sweets, because my biggest nightmare is that I get a coughing fit. And if I feel it coming on, I might just very quickly put up a random screen so that I can mute myself and just die for 2 minutes and then come back. And but in the meantime, I just keep sucking those sweets and until just to get to the end of this live stream. So apologies if I don't sound normal. That's because, not that I ever sound normal, but it's not. It's definitely got to my voice a little bit. Okay, so the first thing, oh yes, and you get instructions. I forgot about that bit. You get instructions because this is what you're making. This is the base, so of your wreath, week 1 or part 1. So what I'm going to do for now is I'm going to put everything away except for the core and the large wreath base. And you really do get a lot of core there. We have tried very hard not to shortchange you of any wool. And I am going to show you what you're going to do. Before I do this, I will just tell you that so we don't have a giveaway during the Advent time like we normally do, but you have got a chance to enter a competition if you have received our Advent calendar or our Advent wreath, and that is usually on our Facebook group, Everyone a Maker. So I just show you the details now, so you don't enter it here, but this is how you, oh no, I never added it. I'm so bad. Okay. I think Alicia and I were just chatting and I never added it. This is moving on, this is the Advent Wreath Zoom along. So every Wednesday at 3 o'clock, you can join Alicia to a live on Zoom, where you can make the Advent Wreath together, however far you want to progress with that. And you find details on that on Everyone a Maker. So basically drop Alicia a private message and she'll send you the invite. But do join our Everyone a Maker page. I can't believe I haven't got that thing up now. I might be able to do it still. No, I won't be able to. Okay. Nevertheless, I can tell you what it is now in words, and then next time I have it ready. So you go onto our Everyone a Maker's page. On there, you will find a thumbnail, like a picture, that gives you all the details of what you need to do to enter the competition. And basically what we want is for you to share with us a picture of either your Advent wreath or your Advent calendar, or both. You can submit multiple images. Just don't send us the same one every time. That only counts as one. And We are giving away 4 £50 gift voucher, and the winner will be drawn in early in the new year, and we will announce it on the 5th of January. So that's basically all that was on that thumbnail. So it is meant for those of you who have got our Advent wreath and our Advent calendar. And before you ask, you can't buy either of those anymore from us, but we usually release them around May to June. The Advent calendar certainly in May, and then the Advent wreath follows shortly after, so about 6 months before Christmas. And that is about as long as it takes us to pack them. So please keep a keen watch out for that. The easiest thing is, so you don't miss out, is to subscribe to our newsletter. Okay, let's start with this little baby here. Right, so this core wool is quite bitty, and I think that's probably the biggest challenge that you have got to conquer this particular project. However, it is not impossible to make this a really nice solid base, even with bitty wool. What's really important is to remember where these crossbars are, so that you don't get into a fight with your needle when you're stabbing it, because the way to fasten this wool on is actually by stabbing it on as you go along. So you can even wrap bitty bits, you just have to be working in smaller quantities, and that's all I'm going to do now for the next 10 minutes or so. I am adding the wool consistently over this wreath, and I'm just going to grab my best friendly felting mat. So as soon as you've got some on, remember where the crossbar is, stab it down, not to felt it down solidly, but just so that you can actually let go of it and it stays on. And you can do this on both sides. Just keep a keen eye out on where the crossbar is so that you don't get your needle ruined by stabbing into it. Once you get the hang of it, you can probably work in slightly larger quantities. And I promise you, you will get the hang of it. Even though it's bitty wool, but it's really nice to build up a nice dense layer, and especially do it so that it's even. So at this point it doesn't matter so much, but when you get to it and most of the wool has disappeared, then make sure that you only add wool where the wreath is slightly less bulky. And that's all I'm doing now. It does help to wrap it in the same direction so you don't unwrap what's underneath, and work your way around it. So wrap it, felt it into the gap between the two rings. Don't stab into the crossbar. Wrap it and then felt it. Sometimes you can add another layer over the top, and I'm not even picking the long wool bits. I'm just making them work, even if they're bitty and short. It does work. So wrap it, felt it. So a good sign is to know where the crossbar is. They're always opposite each other. So if you've still got one visible, then you know not to stab hard into it. When you start building up the wreath, the crossbars become less of a danger, because you don't have to stab very deep into the wreath to fasten the wool on. The main thing is that you wrap it nice and tight. So just keep going over it, flat like a ribbon, like we wrap all wire. This is no different. And add the bulk to it so that you build up a nice even base. And I'm just going to keep going now without felting it, because I can. But if you have to stop to felt, then do that. Like I said, I'm a fast crafter, so if I'm ahead of you, don't worry about it. Just keep doing what you're doing. You can re-watch this tutorial at any point. You can pause me and catch up later, even in the live. You can do that, and then we'll get there together, one way or another. And I'm using a coarse felting needle, by the way. At this point, I don't think it's worth using a multi-tool. Just a bigger chance of breaking more than one needle. Just felt it down, and that's actually staying on. It's not coming off. It might not look pretty, but it doesn't matter, because we can neaten it up very easily later on. It doesn't mean to say you have to use all the core wool. This is always the thing with our kits, is that we try and be generous, so that some people felt things down very neatly. Some people like them fluffier and softer. So there's actually quite a difference in how much wool you use, depending on how solid you make this. I'm sort of something in between, I think. I'm not a totally solid felter, but I'm also not one that keeps things very fluffy. So I'm something in between. So I'm working on the basis what I use and always add a bit more in for those who are very firm felters. So we're off again on Wednesday this week, which is the 30th of January. No, that's not it. November. We're still in November. To go to Harrogate again. This time we're going to the Country Living show, which is the last show for us this year. And then we're staying put and not going back 2 shows again until next year. If you get a bit of wool that you can actually tease out into a longer strand, do it, because it does obviously help if you have a bigger piece there, but it's not necessary that the wool is all together. Even if you've got a small bitty bit like this, that bit becomes quite a bit longer if you tease it. And I've done one first whole loop around the wire, and I'm felting it down. Oh, there's a bar. So at the moment it looks bitty. It's okay to look bitty because I can flatten all these bits by adding another layer over the top rather than felting them down. Unless you're worried that they will fall off, felt them down, and it stops you from wrapping. So that first part is probably a bit boring, actually. I don't think I'm even halfway into my wool stash yet. So I'm starting again. Wrap the wool round and round. I'm so annoyed I haven't got that ribbon. I wonder where that is. I will go looking for something that I can use. It might not be the ribbon, but it might be something else. I can at least show you the technique of what you need to do. I know exactly where there's a ribbon in my house, but that's not where I am. Okay. You might not like the particular ribbon that we've put in the Advent wreath. If you don't like it, use whatever you like. It doesn't have to be that one. I'm thinking now what I can use, so I'm looking around as we speak and felting it down. There we go. I don't know if any of you make sort of a big fuss of the Advent, the time leading up to Christmas, which is a time of reflection and certainly not a time of rushing around and getting caught up in the whole Christmas stress. It's funny actually, because my 14-year-old daughter, she said today, she said, oh, I don't know what to get for you for Christmas. And she earned herself a little bit of money the other day, and she's planning to spend it all on Christmas presents. And she says, the first time I've had money to spend on you. I said, well, it's the thought that counts, because she's worried she's going to run out of money. And I said, well, you don't need to buy anything. It's just the thought that counts. So, you know, whether you, maybe you make a homemade present, it doesn't have to be, and this is, I think this is always the thing, which is why one of the reasons why I love running the business that I do is that actually handmade, yes, you can spend hundreds of pounds on making something by hand, but actually, especially with needle felting, things really don't have to be very expensive. Wool is very cheap in comparison to other craft materials, and it's the thought that counts. Maybe you can make a personalized present. Maybe it can be something that represents, it's a symbol of something that you might want to one day when you've got lots of money buy. So it doesn't have to be anything crazily expensive. If you can needle felt it, and that tends not to be very pricey. And it comes from the heart. Homemade presents always come from the heart. And it doesn't matter whether you think they're not perfect. For the recipient, they will be perfect because you've put your love into it. And if they don't appreciate it, then that's their loss, not yours. They don't know. Unless you craft yourself, sometimes it's hard to appreciate what you're making. I'm lucky that in my family, because they see me crafting away, and no, I don't sit in the evening and needle felt, surprise surprise. I actually have been sitting in the evening. I knitted a blanket for my son, and I'm currently crocheting a blanket. In fact, I've just finished it for one of my daughters, and I'm going to start another one for another daughter, and then I've got a third daughter to make another one for. And they're big double-sized blankets, and I'm using not a fat yarn either. I'm using double knitting and a 4.5mm crochet hook. And yes, I'm also a fast crochet knitter. Sorry, not that I mean to boast, but it doesn't take me actually that long to knit and crochet things. So the wreath is still coming along nicely. This is basically, I'm going to go to the larger camera now and show it to you here. Maybe you can always take some silly photos in the process of making this wreath. See if anybody's head actually fits properly into it. But that is, it looks messy and it looks bitty, and that's exactly how it's meant to look. So don't worry about it if you think you're doing anything wrong. You're not. It's exactly right what's happening here. And I'm going to wrap a little bit more while you're doing yours, or maybe you're just watching. Maybe you're having a chat here on the live stream. Remember, we will repeat this on Thursday, which is the 1st of December. It's also when we have a special and unusual live stream here on YouTube for the unboxing of our December subscription boxes. And you're in for a treat. It's a nice project. It's the camel as the main project for the Makers box. It's the Blossom Fairy for the Fairy project, and it's Frosty for our surprise box. And if you're interested what you're doing in January, the projects have been completed, and I'm quite pleased with them. But I will just show you what the forthcoming Makers boxes are. There's always a disclaimer that we might change it, but this is what the plan is. So in January, we've got the Tawny Owl planned, a Toadstool Fairy, and the surprise box is themed Cozy Nights In. And then for February, we're going for the Frisian Cow, a Crocus Fairy, and the Forest Floor for the surprise box. And then in March, we have got the moon gazing hare, for goodness sake, a Bunny Fairy, and a box that's called Make Along. And there's a little bit more about that to say at some time closer to it. Okay, here we go. Still working on the wreath base. Maybe halfway through it now. So again, use the bitty wool. Don't worry if it's bitty. It will be fine. Just keep wrapping, felting it down so it doesn't fall off. And now I'm not even going that deep into the wool anymore, so my needle occasionally hits the crossbar, but seems to be fine. I think the main thing is that you keep it evenly covered. So make sure that when you wrap it, you check if there's a thinner part or fatter part, so that you can equalize it whichever way. And of course, this is not the final cover. There will be another layer going over it. In fact, on some of it, there will be 2 layers going over it to make the sky. And I just wish I could show you it's very unusual for me not to be able to show you the finished project, but it's just what it is. Can't do much about it. Just gotta be patient and get excited for the next week one, where we do step 2, and that will sort of start more of the decorations. That's all I'm going to say. Felt it down. It's definitely getting quite a bit more bulky in some areas than others. This wool, by the way, is our basic core wool. It's British wool, and it smells of lovely clean sheep. Not everybody likes the smell, but I do. I can't actually smell it at the moment. Oh, it's nice. It's lovely. I love that smell so much. I think it reminds me, and I've said this before, it reminds me of my childhood. It wasn't sheep, but I hung out with a lot of goats because my friend, they had goats, and I know goats smell differently, but it's the smell of stables. I think that's what I'm smelling here when they go in the night shelter. Oh, we had the first frost this morning here in Gloucestershire. I don't know about anybody else, but we had our first frost, which yeah, surprised me a little bit because I had to scrape the windows to get the ice off. But we had a beautiful sunrise. I shared it on Every One a Maker this morning as a little live stream directly here from the Wilderness Centre, and the whole valley was completely covered with mist, and it looked, when the sun went up, it looked like it was the sunrise across the sea. So it was very lovely. And I don't know if any of you saw it, but I was time lapsing. Is that a word? I was doing a time lapse video of the sun rising, which is basically like watching paint dry. And then just as I finished, 2 deer, literally really close, jumped right in front of me, beautifully and gracefully with big leaping jumps. And of course, I missed it entirely. So if I'd only kept looking at the same scene for a bit longer, that would have been in the time lapse. But that's me all over. When I try and video something, I usually press start when I think I'm pressing stop. I've had lots of very upsetting moments with my daughter, who's an athlete, when she said, "Mum, can you video this?" And I'm like, yeah, I will video it. Don't worry. And then I don't know if it's happened to you, but when I think I'm pressing stop, I'm actually starting to video, which means that all the while I'm thinking I'm videoing, I haven't. And then when I think I'm not videoing, I am. So you usually get my feet on there, and can even feel a bit seasick, the way that I swing my arms around and the camera points in every direction, but not where it was meant to a few minutes earlier. So yeah, I have a few of those not so happy stories to tell, I'm afraid. But that's why you need to remember it and don't need to put everything. Every time that happens, I just say it's fine because I saw it. I saw it with my own eyes, and that's there. It's just I can't share it. But then, I keep it all to myself. I'm being very selfish. So I did this morning. That's when I thought, but I saw it. I saw it. I know it happened, and it was beautiful, so graceful, absolutely amazing, and with a backdrop of the sun rising and the misty valley and everything. Yeah, it was very, very, very beautiful. Right, I'm stabbing now. I'm looking at the wreath, and I'm sort of evening out the edge a bit because it's very bumpy right now. So I've still got quite a lot of wool that I could potentially put on there. Like I say, you don't have to use all of it, but it's definitely worth using your hands to feel how padded it is, not just your eyes, because it might look padded, but it's actually a really thin layer. So felt down the thicker layer a little bit more, and then add a bit more where it feels thin, where you can still feel the wires when you squeeze it. Then add a bit more onto it. So I can see that here this part is quite thin still, so I'm using a little bit more. Tease this wool out as much as I can, even though it's bitty. If you find little bits of straw in there, or hay, or grass, or moss, anything's possible. These things are called VM. That's short for vegetable matter. This wool is 100% clean. The only bits that might be in there is dried up grass or straw, or, well, I suppose straw is a bit like dried up grass or hay or whatever. Anyway, it is nothing nasty. It is just, as it says, vegetable matter. It's not what you think it might be. It's all good, and that's just one of those things that sheep pick up when they when they're in a meadow or in a field, and it just goes to show that they have actually been in touch with the real thing out there. So we only buy our wool from suppliers where we know that the sheep are treated well, they get shorn well, they get fed well, they get looked after well, and that's what matters to us. Okay, stabbing away still. This is what mine looks like at the moment. Definitely getting bigger. My face isn't showing so much anymore. Going round the edges again, so do stand it up as well, don't just stab into it lying down. You can see a lot more when you stand it up. You can see where there's more lumps and bumps sticking out on the inside or the outside of the ring. And you wouldn't think that all this wool fits on that wreath, would you? It is definitely, it's a big project. So I'm so excited to make it along with you. So much fun. And in the wreath, in the Advent projects, what you usually get is 4 envelopes. And I'm just going to show them to you. Oh no, I didn't bring them there at the other end. Just a little ribbon in there. For goodness sake. Right, last bit now. Get this done. Otherwise you're going to tune out because it's so samey. There's the wreath. And I'm going to check into the chat in a minute. In fact, I'm going to do that now. Right, whilst I'm doing this, I'll just put it on the overhead camera and then I'm going to felt and read at the same time, multitasking. Right. Let's have a look what people are saying. Steffi is trying to find her go live button. Oh yes, that was earlier. I don't know, something happened to my screen. I had to completely go out of it and then go in again. So that's really old news, so I must not read so far back. Hi everyone, only here for 10 minutes, says Jane. Offered to care for one of our elderly village residents this afternoon, so we'll have to catch up this evening. Oh, that's so nice. Well done. Oh, what's this now? You can find it after. Okay, this is my problem. If you don't follow the chat, you have actually no idea what people are talking about. But people, I think, like the competition price. So 4 £50 vouchers. If you go onto our Facebook group, Everyone a Maker, and you're going to find the post. We usually pin it to the top of all posts, so you should find it right at the top of the group page. And if you want to enter the competition, then just keep posting pictures of your makes. It doesn't have to be a finished make. If you're making this and your I don't know, your parrot helps you, then post that too. We just want a little bit of content so that we get a little window inside your life. It doesn't have to be the beautiful finished project. It can be just a fun picture as well. Even if you just put your head into the wreath, not literally, don't put it through it, and take a funny photo. We love all of that. I'm just going to take another cough sweet so I don't risk a coughing fit. Right. So that's not looking too bad, not too shabby. It's getting definitely nice and filled up. I could keep going, and maybe I should, or maybe I should move on. I'm not sure. I'm just going to check this out. Every time I feel it, I think, oh, there's a bit more that needs it. And then I think, oh, there's a bit more that needs it. So what I will suggest is, if you want to make this really, really neat and even, then do use all of the core wool and felt it down very thoroughly. If you have the time to do that, do it. Because it will be worth it. Because the wreath will be absolutely solid and no bits will sort of come loose or anything like this. I could do this probably for the next half hour and make it really, really firm, but I'm not going to do it because you'll be switching off just seeing the same old, and there will be very little progress showing. So what I'm going to do is, this is all the core wool I have got left. It's quite a bit still. I'm going to put this to one side now. I'm going to go on to the next stage. So in theory, whilst I'm explaining this to you, I'm going to find something to hang my wreath up on. Oh my goodness, that candle is going crazy as well. I had this last year. They have these candles suddenly have got a second what's it called? What is it called? A second you know that, well, you won't know necessarily, but sometimes I cannot think of the words in English. They only pop in my head in German. And all the word I can think of is called Docht, D-O-C-H-T, and that means the word that I can't think of now in English. Looking for a ribbon or anything remotely like it. So what I might do is I might use some wool tops, only because I can't find the ribbon. Okay. And I feel like I need to get rid of that extra thing that I can't think of what it's called, because this flame is so tall. It's probably not very good. Glad you're not watching this. Okay. What is it called again? What's the inside of a candle? Somebody help me with this. A bit smoky now. Okay, I'm just gonna go to the so it's the cotton bit inside a candle. What's that called again in English? I can't think of it. It's gone. Right, I'm using this instead of the ribbon that is supplied in the Advent Wreath. Got to be a little bit inventive. So it's our rainbow space dyed wool top, and I'm going to go over the overhead camera. It's a wig. Oh, thank God for that. Ah, yes, thank you. I wasn't looking at the comments. I just couldn't think of the word. Nearly said something rude then. Right, so you have an organza ribbon in your pack, which is really thin and see-through. And what you're going to do is you're going to use a bit of that core wool that I've just put away, and you're going to felt it down with the core wool so that it can't move anymore. And you're just laying it over the top and felt it down all around. You will hear it will sort of go like crunch, 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 because you're actually felting through a piece of fabric. But you can very easily felt through it, because organza is a very thin, lacy type of fabric. And I have absolutely no idea what happened to my ribbon, I think, because I unpacked it first in the workshop, then I unpacked it here and I threw it all back in together. I think I must have lost the ribbon because I pulled it all out and never put it back in. And in fact, if I think of it back now, I have got a ribbon on my desk back at work in HQ. That's probably the ribbon I'm meant to have here. So I am fastening it on from both sides. So you do this from the front and from the back. At the moment, you don't actually know what is the front and the back of this wreath. So just lay the wool over it, and that will fasten the ribbon on. There will be another layer put over this white layer anyway, but this will just stop it from moving around. And the only thing that I would suggest is when you fasten it on, make sure you don't fasten it bang onto a cross bar. So maybe you can just feel your way around it a little bit, so that you don't constantly have the risk of stabbing into that crossbar of the ribbon, of the wreath, the wire wreath. Right. That is basically all you do. It's not doesn't need to be fastened on super duper stable, because there will be other layers added over the top. You just don't want it to move. You want it to stay in one place, because as soon as you start adding the next colors over the top, you're committing to what the top and the bottom of the wreath is. So you don't want the ribbon to move around and then suddenly you're hanging it up and the wreath is actually upside down. So the next step you're going to do is, you've got a lot of this brown black, what we call brown black New Zealand merino. We love this color. It's like a mole color, and you're now going to cover the top half of this wreath in that wool. So again, you have got a lot of wool to do this, and you do need to have a nice dense cover. Again, you might have to work in smaller batches because it's not a top, it's a bat, so you might not get many lengths out of this, but felt it down neatly. And it's again, it's important that you maintain an even width of the wreath. This is definitely an opportunity to even out your wreath. If you want to get a longer piece out of that, and tease it and see where it wants to go. And then once you've done that, you can tease it a little bit more in itself. But you're going inside and outside and around. So this is not just a wreath that is one-sided. You're actually doing the back and the front. You can decide whether you want to hang it up later on, showing both sides or just one side. But if you want to hang it in your window, it doesn't look bad. Whichever way is the back. That's the idea. I think. Let me just double check. Yes, you can definitely do both sides. I think I chose not to do both sides on mine in the end. I mean, most wreaths are actually hanging up against the wall because it sets them off nicely against a maybe a painted wall background or a nice door. So, but at this stage, you're putting it all the way around. And you also know where the top of your wreath is because that's where the ribbon is fastened onto. In theory, you could have tied the ribbon to the wreath first, the wire wreath. I did think about that, and then I thought, well, actually, it's not necessary. And then you don't have the ribbon flopping around while you're trying to wrap it. You can actually wrap it around the wreath and then felt it on, and that also makes it secure. It's not going to come off. Right. Keep going around. What you could do is you could split your wool in half and then cover one half next to the ribbon first and then use the other to cover the other half if you want to be 100% precise what goes on the top. Felt it down and felt it inside the wreath as well. So Alicia just made a good point. I was going to mention that, but it popped out of my head again. So we've obviously got the Advent calendar to look forward to as of the 1st of December. You have got to look it forward to, and you will be opening every day a little parcel with some felting goodies, accessories, all of that. And we thought that this year we're going to offer you even more support during that time, when not just support but also just an outlet to share the excitement, maybe also to give you some ideas what it is that you're opening. Not everybody knows necessarily what they're looking at. So Alicia is going to open every day of the Advent calendar with you, but she's always a day behind, so not to spoil the surprise for those who might not have opened it in time for that day. So if you want to see that, this is going to be a short 5-minute live on our main page, The Makers, and it will be shared to everyone a maker as well. I don't actually know what time she's planning to do this, whether it's a set time or if it's random. Maybe, Alicia, you can tell us, is this always at a certain time, or are you doing this at your own leisurely pace? Of course, it stays on the page as well, so if you're not watching it live, it will be there. And hopefully, well, she will definitely be doing this every day for the whole 25 days. Not sure if we make her open it for after Christmas, on Christmas Day, so, and Boxing Day for her as well. So maybe just on the time leading up to Christmas. But that's up to her. I don't know what her plans are. I haven't actually asked her. But that's going to be a nice thing to do, because she knows our products very well. Some of the products are brand new, but she will have had time to look into it and come up with some ideas. She might also just tell you, oh, maybe wait for another couple of days before you do something with this, because she might know what follows it. So, but it's all, I'm so excited to see what you're all doing, and of course that is part of the same competition. So on our Everyone a Maker Facebook group, you can post your photo of what you've been making. And just going to go onto the front camera because it's just very boring watching me do this. Sorry, it's just so much wrapping. So I think I should have heeded my own advice and split the black into half, because now I've got to skimp a bit with that second half. Just stretch it over a bit. I've been very generous on one side of the ribbon, but not on the other. Just slapping away, having fun. Okay. Right, what else can I tell you whilst I'm stabbing away here? Let's have a look. Next, we've done that. So, oh yes, let's do this. Agnes, most of you know her already. She has, she's a lovely, fairly new needle felter, but she has come on so fast, doing amazing projects. Like you've seen the mice that she's done. You've seen the beautiful robin, which you can see here right now, and she's doing a workshop in our workshop, and yes, so basically you can sign up to make a robin with her. It might be a nice present to put on your wish list for Christmas, because the January and February days can be quite long, and if you need something to brighten up your day, then maybe that's the thing. Now I've got some exciting news as well, really exciting news, because if all goes well, and there's no reason why it shouldn't, you will actually be coming to a brand new unit, a brand new office, a brand new workshop, a brand new warehouse, a brand new shop, a brand new HQ. So we have decided to move. We've been in that workshop since 2018, which is well, not quite 5 years, but just under 5 years, and we are moving literally not quite next door, but almost next door, into a slightly bigger, much nicer unit. I'm very excited by this, as you can tell. It's to help us move on to the next level, basically. And of course, you know, with you by our side, there's no reason why we can't. Oh dear, I've run out of black. Dear, oh dear, oh dear, that's my fault entirely. So this is not something that should happen to you. I've been extremely generous on this side, and now I'm short on this side. So I'm going to have to go into my own stash to get some more. But I will stress, if you're watching this and you haven't started your wreath yet, then please, please, please split your dark wool into two. Use one for one half next to the ribbon and the other for the other half. And don't do what I did, just randomly start stabbing it on. But be mindful that you do need to have enough to cover the whole half of the wreath. And I have to go and get some more now. So whilst I'm doing this, I'm going to let you read our winter retreat brochure. Oh no, it's gone. Where's it gone? No. Okay, let's get rid of that. Somebody moved things around. That's what usually happens when that's not there anymore. Anyway, I'll tell you about our winter retreat. It's taking place from the 19th to the 21st of January, and we should have some news whether we can offer single room occupancy, not in the wilderness but very nearby, hopefully very soon, because then we might get a few more of you to join us to make a magical or mystical or fantasy horse or whatever you want to call it. Right, I've got to just quickly go and put something on here. I'm just going to remind you of our next sub boxes whilst I go and get some more black. And yes, so the sub boxes I'm really excited about. I will be honest, because I have thoroughly enjoyed making the Toadstool Fairy. She's absolutely delightful. I declared yesterday she's my favorite. I haven't even started on the Blossom Fairy to show you that one yet, But the Toadstool Fairy is 100% my favorite. I won't spoil it for you. I won't tell you any details. You have to wait. But on the unboxing on the 1st of December, I give you a tiny little preview on the newsletter, and of course you can see that for yourself then. So I've just snatched a little bit more black from my stash because I've used it all up. Not that I needed to. You definitely have got enough black, and this is not, there's another layer going over the top as well, so that was very wasteful of me to just pile it on with no thought. It's not something that will happen to you, and I know that people have already done their wreaths, so it's not as if they have complained they haven't got enough. There is definitely enough wool in there. Right. Felting that on a bit quicker now. If you have a multi-tool, you can use it. So maybe you have a clover pen, which is here. Yeah, it does speed things up. Should be safe now, not hitting the wire, because it's sort of quite well cushioned, and you can sort of retrieve the needle quite quickly. If you have the blue needle felting pen, you can use that too. It works definitely. I wouldn't necessarily use the 5 needle tool just yet. If you've got the clover 5 needle tool, I think the needles are a bit more fragile in there. And I don't actually know, I haven't tried the multi tool, but this one here, I'll try it. Oh, I think I've only got 3 needles. Oh no, I've got all needles in there. But yeah, that's work too. So you can use that as well to speed your cover of that wreath up. So I've still got that much to do on that side. Try and make it last now. Oh dear. It comes from not reading the instructions, which I am a master of. I think I've passed that down into most of my family as well. So it's trial and error rather than have you actually tried and read what we're meant to be doing. I love this tool, by the way. If you haven't got it yet, definitely put it on your Christmas wish list. It's I like using it, and I've said that before, because it keeps me close to my work. I don't like using tools where you're too far away from where you're actually stabbing the needle. I just like that feeling of being close. And this one does it. Getting there. Okay, let's tuck away a few wispy bits. Remember, we're going to put more wool over the top of that in a minute, but before I'm doing that, I'm just going to double check. Oh no, we go straight into that, adding more to the top of that black cover at the top. We're going to go straight into adding the nice colourful wool. So it's a little bit like, the wreath is a little bit like Northern Lights. Now some of you might like the cover really thick of the coloured wool that's going over the black. The idea is that, like with Northern Lights, you actually have got a black background, and the colour that goes across it, as in the Northern Lights, doesn't have to be a complete cover. Otherwise, if that was the case, we wouldn't have bothered with black. We would have just put the coloured wool on top. The reason why we're putting the black on there is because we do want to be quite sparing with the next colours that we're putting on. So I'm going to do this overhead again. So I've got, this is the Flower Garden, and it comes in different colorways. So what I would suggest is tease off the wool and decide how you want this to be, to appear on your wreath. You really genuinely do not need to make this a thick cover. You should have plenty of wool there. Just keep it nice and thin and allow the black to come through. That's the whole point. And just sort of go along it and allow the colors to change as you're laying it over it. So I'm going with this at the moment. And if you want to layer it up thicker, you can. In the instructions I have done, but you don't need to. I actually quite like it where it's more of a like literally like the Northern Lights. They don't completely light up the sky. What makes it so special is they have these vibrant colors of orange, green, yellow, and just it's going shooting across the sky, almost like lightning. So I've just added that now. Now I need to felt it down. So I'm just going to gently felt it down into the center here. It's fastened on first, going around the inside. I don't want it to be too distorted, so I'm making sure that the wool is actually fastened on before I felt all over. And actually, to be perfectly honest, for this you could use your Clover 5 needle tool, because you want the wool to I nearly said stick. You want the wool to get fastened onto the surface, but you don't want to make an indentation as you're felting it on, because it will distort the colors. So felt it down, maybe with your multi-tool or with a medium needle. I don't actually know what I'm saying in my instructions. Oh yeah, I'm actually talking about a multi-tool. And of course the multi-tool has got fine needles in it, so that also means there won't be as many marks left when you felt it down. If you apply this fairly thinly, you will be able to cover the back as well. So this is the wool and this is what I've got left over. So you should have enough to cover the back. And felt this down. Work thoroughly on this. I'm cutting a few corners here by not necessarily felting it down that well, just so that it stays on. But you want that wreath to last you for years, become an heirloom that you can pull out every year. Maybe you keep it out all year. So you want it to be felted down nice and firmly. But this is enough as far as I'm concerned. Looks very different to the one that I made earlier, because I've got a slightly different colour batch of that flower garden, but I nevertheless like it. And if you want it more vibrant, then put more of the vibrant colours on there. But I'm going to keep this nice and thin. And now I'm going to add the green wool around the base. And with that, once that is done, it completes the first part of the Mystery Advent Wreath 2022. So very exciting. I think last year when we did the Animals in the Wood wall hanging, the first part was also the one that was a little bit like dragging its heels, because you're preparing for the exciting bits to take shape. So bear with it. It is very exciting what's going to happen next. If you can bear the tension, bear with it. And of course you can open your Advent Wreath parcel on Sunday already. Don't have to wait until Tuesday. It's the 2nd of Advent is on Sunday coming, so which is the 4th of December. Goodness, we're already in December. That comes as a bit of a surprise, I would say. But here we are. Yes, so exciting news about our new premises. I almost don't want to say it because I don't want to jinx it, but I don't see what can possibly go wrong, because we've agreed to the terms and conditions, signed the pre-contractual terms. I think we're all good. So be very exciting to get into new shiny premises that are bigger, because we are literally outgrowing everything that we're doing right now. So it'll be very exciting to do that. Right. So you're going to cover this front and back evenly. I'm going to cover this on the front mostly, just so that I can show you a finished side. But it's meant to be all around. The whole wreath can be made to be double-sided. So it's entirely up to you how you want to do it, but you should be able to have enough wool there to have it double-sided. I love this. I love this moss green. Honestly, it is super soft. It's a beautiful color. Just to show you on the wreath that I showed you earlier, it's used here in the holly leaves. This is not the Advent wreath, by the way, but this is an option that you could have. Those of you who don't get the Advent wreath, you could have a wreath too to make, and add it with your own decorations. You do get in that Advent wreath base pack, you get enough wool to cover it. As you've seen, it's got that nice blue cover, so it looks quite wintry. And then you get the wire in there to make the tree. It is not the Advent wreath, but it's an option for you to make a project where you don't have to miss out, and then you can choose your own design on top, whereas this design here has got everything that you need to make it. So the seasonal wreath that I've just shown you is not as complete as your Advent mystery wreath. You have got everything in the Advent mystery wreath that to make the whole project with all decorations, whatever they may be. What may they be, I wonder? Okay, getting there. I'm fear that I'm running over a little bit, but I was a little bit late because I couldn't find the start button. It had disappeared, and it genuinely wasn't there. So even now you have a chance to even out the wreath. So if there's a bit of a bumpy part, you can make sure that you felt it down a little bit more. It's lots of stubbing, what we like. Keeps our hands busy and our heads empty. There's nothing that can beat that feeling of just letting the world be the world, when you just lose yourself in a bit of crafting, looking forward to what you're making, but also enjoying the process entirely. And it's funny actually, because the one thing that if I meet, I'm being very stereotypical now, but if I meet couples coming to, not everybody's like that, I will be honest, but a lot of the time, if there's husband and wife coming to the craft shows, you can sort of see him dragging her away, so as to say, what do you want to do with this when it's done? I'm missing the point entirely, that if you find a purpose for it when it's done, that's a bonus. The nice thing about it is that you're actually doing it. And so I find that always hard to explain that, because it's like, well, what's the point of doing it if you can't do anything with it after? Well, because you've already had the pleasure, you've already had the 100% value out of the product by just making it. If you find something to do with it afterwards or give it to somebody, then that's the extra bonus to make somebody else happy. We have just done the Craft for Cats Protection fundraiser with the cat angel tree topper, and I'm sure that people will love the idea to put the cats onto their trees and all the rest of it, but actually the making of it was just sensationally therapeutic and lovely, and just engaging in something, seeing magic happen in front of your eyes by just using wool and stabbing the needle into it. I really don't know why you need more. That's being very greedy. But if there is more, then that's a bonus. So at the moment I haven't covered the back, because I want to just get to the end of showing you what this wreath will look like when it's got the green cover on there. There's plenty of green, as there was plenty of black, except I didn't plan it very well. And the idea is that you can go over the sky part with your green. So you can overspill there a little bit. Don't have any white showing. This is at the stage at which point all of the white core wool will have been covered up and will have disappeared. And before I see you again next week, Tuesday, for part 2 of the Mystery Advent Wreath, I will make sure that I've got my back covered here, so that we're all starting from the same place. And if you're watching this anytime after Tuesday, the 29th of November, then make sure that you get to that stage too, if you want to continue starting at the same place on whenever it is. When is the Tuesday? The 7th? Potentially December 6. That's right. 6, Tuesday the 6th of December 2022. And then we repeat that on the Thursday, the following Thursday on the 8th. And tell you a little bit more on the 6th, what the 6 means to us in our household, because it's St. Nicholas Day. Right, that's it. I'm leaving it. Oh no, there's a bit of white showing. Sorry, I'll just cover that up. Couldn't see that. Okay. Nearly done. I'm leaving it as that, and I will cover the back up in my own time before I see you again, just so that we don't completely grossly overrun. And I'm hoping that you have all got something nice to say about this project on the oh dear, not that one, sorry. I'm just going to have a quick look what people are saying. Right. Oh, need to scroll down. Right, what are people saying? Quick. Yes, because I obviously don't know what a wick is. Sorry about that. I like the needle set Steffi is using too. That's Jane. I'm guessing you're talking about my very clever tool here. Sorry, I'm reading. Shouldn't get sidetracked. Can't read and speak at the same time. So Rose says, I leave my makes on a shelf and let people who come over take what they like. That is so nice. Oh, that's nice, Rose. By the way, whilst I remember, thumbs up, everybody, please. And if you could subscribe to our channel, that would be fantastic. Maybe you have already. That's excellent. Thank you so much for that. Elaine says, Gina, my husband. Oh no, hang on. Let's read Gina first. This is one of my husband's questions when I make things. What are you going to do with all of them when they are finished? I just say, put it on the sideboard. Haha. Exactly. Why does there need to be a practical use for them? Isn't it lovely that you've had a wonderful time making them? And Elaine says, Gina, my husband's the same. I have a shelf, sideboard, and on the piano full of makes now. Well, I said, one day you know exactly what to do with them. Lorna says mine are all over the house, and there could be way worse things of having all over the house. And Peggy says, I love how this is turning out. Oh, thank you. I like Steffi's colours of the tops. Nice. Thank you. I have half the core on the wreath, says Cindy. Okay, well, that's fair enough. You've got plenty of time. We've got another 7 days to catch up until we meet again. On that cue, I think I will leave you to it now, and I hope you all have a lovely remainder of the week. Maybe I will see some of you in Harrogate. If not, then I will definitely see you next week, and take care, everybody. And then, of course, on Thursday, it's the 1st of December, so don't miss out on the unboxing of our subscription boxes. Take care, everybody. Lots of love.